Roy, you want to give an introduction?
Sure, Phil. So my name is Roy Schilling. I'm an enterprise transformation coach. Been practicing Agile for years and years and years. I've been in a whole bunch of different industries. And my job is basically to help organizations learn how to become more effective and maybe treat their employees a little bit better along the way. Right, Phil?
Absolutely. And my name's Phil Akinwale. I'm also a agile lifelong learner. And having been a program manager, just like many of you are either aiming to be or are, I realized that everything truly rises and falls on a leadership awareness and a leadership pragmatism. And that's why Roy and I are bringing you these three powerful curricula in one for the professional program leader certification. It's not answering a bunch of questions. We bring together over 80 years of experience. We're taking a look at the world of work from a different lens. And by the time we are done showing you, journeying with you, we are very confident that you will come away a stronger business leader, a stronger program leader, a stronger all rounder. So, what exactly are we going to be talking about? Roy, I think I want to jump into the world of agile programs first. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's jump into the world of program leadership from an agile lens. A lot of folks they get certified as PMPs, but that's the only agile that they think of.
Yep.
Is agile in programs outside of that lens in this program?
Absolutely. This is beyond the team. A lot of agile certifications, even what you hear in the PMP is really about the things that happen in the teams. There's a lot of stuff that happens outside the teams. This is where your program and portfolio activities happen. This is about aligning work across the teams. And here's another thing, Phil, that's I think it's important for people to recognize. It's not about installing a scaling framework. This is about recognizing the patterns, the leadership patterns, the cultural patterns, the practices that make building a good program and portfolio management scheme in your organization. It's not about just scaling, right? And certainly not about installing frameworks. This is a real dive into the whys and the hows, not just do this framework and off you go,
Mm,
right? Very, very different approach.
very different, absolutely. So we're talking about these anti-patterns. We want you to be aware of them so that this behavior is not repeated. Faster waterfall, fake value delivery, priority overload. We're going to be breaking down all of these, but getting straight into the main meat of the curricula. Can you walk us through, Roy, what we're going to be going through from the introduction on down?
Absolutely. And starting in the introduction, we're going to talk about why you need to think about doing things in a different way. How has traditional portfolio and program management, let's say it, let's be honest about it, how it's failed, right? It's you can't be in this world anymore. This very fast evolution that's going on in our world. You can't be in that space and follow traditional models anymore. They just
Mm,
don't work. Now, there are hybrids that you can make use of. There are things that we can take from it, lessons that we've learned. Absolutely use that. But traditional portfolio management tends to fail in the more dynamic spaces, right? So we're going to work through that. We're going to talk about why these concepts that we're going to talk about typically work better. Again, they're patterns and practices that you can make use of. And another thing that's really important is shifting from projects to products, right? That's
mm.
a big thing. We've just talked about that a little bit earlier, but that mindset shift is huge, and a lot of organizations are going there.
And Roy, let's talk about this for a second because, people are very combative, especially those rooted in this predictive bubble. The moment you tell them that there's a better way of thinking about work than just a one track mind of projects,
Mhm.
they fail to understand that there are other organization types and other ways of working. Have you been met with such resistance as you've been a transformation coach?
Constantly, right? So this has worked for decades. So why should we change now? That's because what we did decades ago is not like the world is today, right? We have to face the reality with new technologies, with new AI that's coming into play. Work is moving a lot faster. Markets are moving a lot faster. You don't have time to do
Mm,
traditional portfolio management anymore. It's got to be faster. You've got to think differently. So those things that we've done for a long time, great value, great lessons, the world's different. Now it's time to shift into and evolve into new ways of thinking about work.
Absolutely. So you're going to ground us with the foundations and the principles and ideas that you just talked about to be able to make that mental shift, to be able to map our current portfolios to a value delivery model. What is the difference between having a value delivery model versus an output model?
Yeah, so think about this. Just because you finished a project or a collection of projects, does that honestly mean that you're getting the results that you expected? And how would you know? Right? What are we doing to actually say that doing this work is going to cause these kinds of results? Outcome results versus output activities, right? Not about the things we do, it's about the results that we get from it. That's really what we're looking for. So focus on the value, focus on the results. Of course, we got to do output in order to achieve outcomes, but it's the outcome. Are we actually getting the results? And if we're not, then guess what? We're doing the wrong stuff. Right. And it's
Mm.
important to measure that and get those feedback loops built into it so we can learn along the way. Right, Phil?
Absolutely. Now let's go on to the topic of aligning strategy with delivery. A lot of times, the project manager doesn't even get to hear anything about strategy, and then they do this role as a PM for years, and
Mhm.
then they get shoved into, "Hey, you're a program manager. You've been doing this for long enough." Now
Yeah.
it's what do you have to say about that model, Roy?
Yeah. So I've worked with so many organizations, and almost every single one of them had the exact same problem. They define where they want to go as an organization. They have these big strategy discussions, what they want to try to accomplish. And then that instantly turns into a collection of projects. And then that connection between the work that's being done to where you want to go from a strategy perspective is now completely lost because the
Mm,
project has abstracted the strategy. You're doing a
mm,
project, but you don't know how it ties, right? This is such a common problem. So now what we're saying is that strategy needs to be carried out throughout the work that we do. It needs to be visible from top to bottom. Everyone needs to know the work that I am doing today aligns to our strategy in this way. Now, of course, not all work aligns to strategy. There's operations and small things that we do, but the vast majority of work we should do should align to our strategy, and every person doing that work should see how it aligns. That way they know what their purpose is. They know how they're contributing, right?
absolutely, and it's a program leadership role. That's why
It is.
we tend to not want to just say management. It's really more of leading the way. So you have a program leader who is aware of this. When you hit the ground
Mhm.
running, whichever firm you're in, you take that mindedness with you. You see, this isn't just like a to-do list, a set of tools, techniques, inputs, and outputs. Instead, we're rewiring your brain to be able to think more like a program leader, like a portfolio leader, as
And Phil,
opposed to
what you
just
just said is so important. We typically see things about program management, how to be a
mm,
program manager. And, yes, of course, there is some management that needs to happen. There are some activities we need to do, some logistics. But if you want to be truly valuable, it's about program leadership, the
mm,
values, the principles, the behaviors, the culture, that psychological safety. That doesn't happen from management. That happens from leadership, right? So you need to apply
absolutely.
leadership values, leadership activities into how you organize this work so your teams actually feel that they're being led, that they know where they're
Mm,
going, right? I think it's really important.
absolutely, Roy. And that takes us to what you and I were discussing just a little bit ago about the aspect of lean portfolio practices and the word governance, which is synonymous, along with many other PMI thoughts of governance. But the way we think about governance is different. In this world of governance, Roy, how should we be thinking differently from a framework within which authority is exercised primarily?
Yeah, and Phil, that word governance has such a bad reputation. We hear governance and it's like, oh, someone's going to be controlling me, and that's not what governance should be. In
Mm,
governance in this space, it's more about setting up guardrails. It's making sure that the decision authority is in the right place, not all up at the top. So we put the guardrails in place. We define the standards. We make sure everybody understands the rules. Everybody understands what we're trying to accomplish. We have ownership at all levels. That's the kind of governance that we want to build in. It's lightweight, it's decentralized, but everybody understands the rules. So therefore, everybody understands what not to do, what is acceptable,
mm,
right? Define those guardrails and standards. It's a lot better than saying stage gate, stage gate, right?
mm. Absolutely. And then let's talk about prioritization and capacity management because
Yeah.
a lot of times firms want to do everything under the sun. They have the prioritization paralysis. Everything that is on the board must be done like yesterday, which just shoots them in the foot further.
Sure does. I can't tell you how many organizations, Phil. I know you've seen this hundreds of times. Almost every organization I've worked with has the exact same problem, and that is they're trying to do everything. This project is important. Okay, great. That project is important. So is this one and this one and this one and this one. So now you got, 15, 20 projects that are all priority one. What is the thing that you work on today? How do you know if everything is priority one? Now you have to make a decision, and you're moving that kind of decision, which should not be made by the people doing the work. What to work on today should not be done by those folks, or what is the priority? That should be done by the people who are asking for the work, right? So
Mm,
prioritization is not just happening inside the team. Prioritization needs to happen at all levels of the organization, portfolio level, saying here are our most important investments we want to make. So let's produce this value early. Let's get this value done. Let's learn from it and let's move on to the next. So it is ruthless, aggressive prioritization, one priority two, not just at the team level, but up here at the portfolio level as well, where that typically just doesn't happen, right?
absolutely, Roy. Let's talk about another misnomer that, in the world of portfolio and program management in traditional, we're often obsessed with schedule, with cost, with scope,
Yeah.
with, the RAG approach, red, amber, green.
Mhm.
And, we just talked about a watermelon project. What's that, Roy?
Watermelon project. I'm sure some of you have heard of this one. It's green on the outside. Everything looks fantastic, but it's red on the inside. And Phil, what's the root cause of those typically? What are your thoughts? What causes those projects?
Well, everything looks hunky dory on the outside, but it's valueless. It's like an empty shell when you really look inside.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we don't know why we're doing it. Maybe there's no real value associated. Maybe it's a pet project. Maybe bad things are happening, but everyone's afraid to say it. Right? All of
Mm.
these things happen. There's a weird phenomenon that happens where, at this level, the world is falling apart. You go up a level. Oh, we can't say that to senior leadership. So it gets toned down a little bit. Oh, we can't say that. And it gets toned. Everything's fine at the top. Right. Even though
Mm.
they're pulling their hair out and everyone's on fire at the bottom. Right. So these are the kinds of things that we need to avoid. Full transparency. Anything that's bad, you got to make sure that it's visible. We have to see it. And that means, just really show what's happening and be able to
Mm.
look at it and say, we've got problems here. Let's go fix it. Right. That's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. Don't sugarcoat the truth. So I
Yeah.
know a lot of folks might be wondering, okay, what will I gain from the certification beyond the knowledge? You're going to learn the lingo, you're going to learn the language, you're going to learn the thought process, and you're going to be able to confidently speak as opposed to it just being rote memorization. You're going to have a lot of hands-on, right, Roy? We're going to be
Yeah.
doing a lot of hands-on exercises so that when you are done with the program, you believe in as someone who is a true leader, not someone who is plagued by, doubts and imposter syndrome. Because Roy, we talk to a lot of people and they have this PMP. Some of them
Mhm.
have the PGMP, and you say, okay, what is the first thing you do when you find yourself as a program manager or program leader? And there's crickets. They got no idea. They
Exactly.
don't know what OKRs are. They don't understand what strategy is. They don't
Mhm.
understand how to design a portfolio. They have no idea about lean portfolio. I mean, so in this program, you might be coming in with a PMP, but we know that a lot of PMPs have not been exposed to higher levels of operations in the business from an agile or predictive standpoint. So this is really going to equip those folks who feel plagued by imposter syndrome, not knowing how to speak in the boardroom, not knowing how to hold their own, whether in an agile or predictive. And Roy, the funny
Yeah.
thing, we used to say, oh, it's predictive. No, even in the agile world, you have a lot of
Absolutely.
folks who are CSMs, PSMs, CSPO, and they've got very little ideas. So this is going to help them understand how the world of work should be. It's very straightforward when you boil it down, but it's only straightforward to those who are seeing the realities. And that's what we'll be showing them, right, Roy?
Absolutely. And I think an important distinction, a lot of organizations go this way. They roll out, Agile or something, hybrid or whatever to their team level. So all these teams are following Scrum or Kanban or whatever they're doing, whatever frameworks they're following. And then they start to recognize, hey, we've got a bunch of teams that need to work together. So that's when they start talking about scaling. And I
Mm,
think an important discussion here is that this is not about scaling. In fact, we want to discourage going scaling first. We want to talk about setting up the patterns, making use of the understanding, deeply understanding those practices. So you're not just saying, let's do this scaling framework. We're saying, here are the patterns that will work well for our organization, not just in the future, but where we are today. These are the patterns that you can recognize, that you can say, you know what? I learned from Phil and Roy that this pattern is likely going to work based on our early stages of our journey. So maybe we can implement this now, right? So
mm.
less about scaling, much more about identifying the patterns, knowing which ones are going to work for you and maybe which ones you need to wait on, right?
Absolutely. And Roy, we've talked about AI as well. And a lot of organizations, they think they're doing the right thing by hiding AI from their people. But in this program, we begin to expose people to how they can pragmatically use AI to be a leader, to lead with AI.
Exactly. We want you to be AI native, right? Where it's not something that is some tool that you log in to help you write an email. That's like level one, barely level one of using AI. And that's okay. It's a great place to start. We want you to get to the point where you can help it to analyze
Mm,
strategy, analyze your risks, do some forecasting, do some really interesting things with it. So it's your partner along the way. So guess what? You're going to use AI in this approach as well. We encourage you to do that.
absolutely. Now, for those who are wondering, okay, Phil and Roy, you've told us about the agile side of things.
Mhm.
What about this book right here? What about this? What about this? We got you covered, right? So
Yeah.
let's jump into the discussion about the predictive side of things. The predictive side of things are really structured to PMI's guide, but they're also going to be bottom lined with the leadership wisdom of John Maxwell, right? So we'll give you a very strong foundational base to program management. You'll know what it is. You'll understand program strategy and alignment. You'll understand the program life cycle. You'll understand program definition. We'll also walk you through program road mapping and architecture and benefits management. These will not just be buzzwords, but this will become tangible, understandable elements that you look for in your programs. And you'll be able to couple that with the world of Agile and make them more well rounded. We'll talk about I call it the Get a Big Soda Pop mnemonic, right? Get a Big Soda Pop Cola. And that just stands for governance, alignment, benefits, stakeholder, program life cycle, and collaboration. And all of these are talked about all throughout the book. You see, unfortunately, when people hear the program standard for program manager, oh, I'm fine for the next 5 years. No, you're not, because you might be like me. What happened to me? I woke up one day and found myself being told, "All right, since you did all this great stuff in defense and space, you should be able to work in IT effectiveness." And now you're a program manager. I'm talking about my time at Honeywell. And what
Mhm.
I realized was the world of program and projects, they're very different. The world of program has to do with more leadership oversight. It
Mhm.
has to do with you understanding how to help the project managers under you. It's more like a servant leadership thing, but you need to understand the strategy. As Roy was alluding to, you need to understand how what you're working on in the program connects to the higher levels in the organization, what the strategic business objectives are. So this book is actually a very simple book. When you take a look at it, it's really the foundations, and then it goes into principles, which are very well written. It goes into the principles, and then it begins going into the domains to get a big soda pop cola, which I just explained. So if you are going for the PGMP exam, let me be honest. Let me tell you the truth, and you might not like this, but you can have all the PGMPs in the world, and you may still not be able to effectively function as a program leader, which is why this program is being presented to you as program leadership. So we've got Roy's arm, we've got the predictive arm presented by PMI, which is a really great publication. It is not as big as the PMBOK guide. Even it's not as big as PMBOK 8. It's half of PMBOK 8. So this is going to be a slam dunk. I'm beckoning to you to come join us. Join us, because at the end of the program, not only will you have Roy's curriculum that will be like a great foundation because everything, like John Maxwell said, it rises and falls on leadership. So Roy's curriculum is going to give you pragmatism to be a program leader. Then we're going to build on it by showing you the PMI way for more predictive environments, but you'll always be able to bottom line it with what Roy is teaching. And then finally, we're going to teach you how to be a real success. No matter what happens, we're going to go through John Maxwell's award winning How to Be a Real Success curriculum, and you'll see how to make your program succeed. And there are four things. He uses the word REAL, talk about relationships. So, Roy, let's talk about relationships in the world of program leadership. What
Mhm.
do you have to say about relationships and what you've experienced in firms?
It's everything, how you relate to other people, how you relate to, the teams doing the work, the leadership, your stakeholders. Relationship management is a critical aspect of a leadership role. And I don't care, even if you didn't take program leadership out of the picture, any leadership role,
Any
actually any role, it's
right.
it's how you act as an individual, how you work, how you act, with your relationships with others. That's how you get work done. That's how you build trust, and that's how you collaborate really well. It's critical. You must have that.
Absolutely. And you're going to make relationships in this program because you're going to meet other
Mhm.
people of like minds who are PMPs or who've been in the business world. And then the E stands for equipping. You've got to equip your people. As Roy was saying, you got to not only expand and equip, but you also need to remember it's your duty to find ways of strengthening your team as opposed to it just being, governance and beating people over the head and holding them to very rigid timelines. You got to also see yourself as a servant leader to equip them with knowledge and skills. Roy, isn't this part of our ethos in an agile
Oh,
world as well?
100%. It's all about the human aspect, the human centricity. So yeah, absolutely, equip your team, equip yourself. That's important too. Equip others around you. This is how you become successful.
Absolutely. And then we talk about attitudes, having a positive mental attitude. Roy, what's that agile principle that talks about the kind of people you hire? Talks about getting what's the language? It says get people who are positive or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
hire motivated
Yeah,
individuals and
motivated.
then trust them. Wow, what a concept. Trust your people that you just
Yeah.
hired, right? So you want to hire great people and they have to be motivated, but here's the trick. In order to keep them motivated, you need great leadership, right? People have
Mm,
a responsibility for their own motivation, of course, but
true.
leadership has the responsibility for creating that environment where they can be motivated. Leadership
Mm,
can crush a team really, really fast. So
wow.
motivation, hiring great people, that's critical to the organizational success as well.
Mm. And that bottom lines it because the leadership is the final. So we have relationships, equipping, attitude, and leadership. And as Roy said, people, they can just totally fall out of orbit with poor leadership. So by the time we're done, we're going to give you the world of work. Even calling it program is actually a little bit less than what it is because it's more of a portfolio centric view, isn't it, Roy?
It absolutely is. It's basically the things that happen above the team, right? And yeah, you can call them different levels. Ultimately, it's all about organizing work and aligning to strategy and organizing the teams and aligning, making sure funding's in place and leading across the all of these activities that are going on. So yeah, program portfolio, they kind of blend a little bit, don't they, Phil?
They do. They do. But there you have it, my friend. So I know you might be wondering, how do I join this cohort? How do I join this program? Go to programmanagementinstitute.com. Programmanagementinstitute.com. You can also find it by going to programleadershipinstitute.com. We have a lot of our PLI members who are going to be in this cohort. Highly advise it. Don't miss it. This happens like once in a lifetime. You're not going to have this opportunity recur that frequently. And this will be the very first of its kind. There's not a whole lot of program certifications. And when you find program certifications, they're usually rote and focused on a set of questions. And you could answer all the questions till the cows come home, but that doesn't mean you're going to be an effective program leader or leader, right, Roy?
Absolutely correct. You've got to
Yeah,
learn leadership skills, right?
absolutely. So we encourage you, go to the link that you see below, programleadershipinstitute.com. You get 35 PDUs as a result of this that will be towards your renewal if you're looking to renew any of the certificates that you have. But beyond the PDUs, the value is the lifelong learner attribute. You're going to have handouts, you're going to have books, you're going to have systems, and of course, you're going to have a lot of AI related tools that will help you along your journey. We're also going to be introducing our coaching program. You have your own coach, an AI coach that can help give you ideas and guidance beyond what is in the books. So, if this is a program that you want to join, again, I'm going to put it on the screen, programleadershipinstitute.com or programmanagementinstitute.com. And we are also going to be giving you Roy's new book that's coming out very soon. Roy, did I just spill the beans?
I think you did. That's okay. I think it's a really cool book. It's talking about some of the failed patterns that we've seen in Agile, things that you need to recognize to help you make it more successful, right?
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Those of you on LinkedIn, those of you on Instagram, good to see you. Those of you who are, let's see where else we have people. YouTube, Jerry Zapian, one of our students from 2011. Jerry, thank you for coming through. I saw Jerry pop up on Facebook. Phil is the premier PMP trainer.
That is
Roy's the golden agiles, and all things leadership and transformation. And just hanging out with both of us, you are going to learn a ton. If you are a new PMP, I would also encourage you to join because these programs, we don't do them very often. And when we do them, seize the opportunity. Roy, any closing remarks for our friends?
Yeah, just, through this program, we're going to teach you how to think differently, change that mindset, challenge the way that you think about things. And we're going to have a lot of fun getting there. Maybe a little uncomfortable sometimes, but that's how we learn. But you're going to have a lot of fun getting there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. If you have any questions, put them in one of the videos that you might see online, or just ask. Any questions? I don't really see anything come in. Let me check on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a way of not sending questions to us. Let me just do a quick check. Okay, I don't see any questions. Well, thank you very much. Wishing you a happy holiday, and we'll see you folks very soon. Bye for now.